Movie Review by Rob.
Hi there, Rob here. Today I'm going to do a movie review on Paul Blart, Mall Cop, starring Kevin James and directed by Steve Carr. And let's face it, I had the general curiosity of seeing this movie myself. Let's start off by giving you the overall plot. The plot is about Paul Blart, an unfortunate human being. I say unfortunate because the character you do really sympathize for. He has a daughter with a woman from Mexico. Turns out the woman was just using him to get into the country. She winds up running off and leaving the daughter with him. Not to mention that he has serious health problems. You know, he needs to keep his sugar up or else, you know, he passes out, which kind of impedes upon his overall desire in life to, you know, become a police officer. So, needless to say, he winds up becoming a security guard at a mall. And without the advancement possibilities because of his condition and his family situation and all, he winds up working there for 10 years straight. I think most of you have probably seen the plot from thereforth from the trailers. If not, it's basically about how this down and out of his luck overweight cop who wishes to be more is given a chance on when one day, Black Friday, the busiest holiday of the year, a bunch of superior criminals, acrobatic and whatnot, decide to take over this mall to rob it because it's, like, you know, a lot of money, and he's the only one to stop them. It does have a small love story in it as well, but I don't think that overrides the general plot and the comedy. This stars, of course, Kevin James. Kevin James, most of you know, is most famous for King of Queens, the TV series. He has done some films recently, like I Now Pronounce You, Chuck and Larry, with Adam Sandler. And he's made some appearances in films. One of my favorite appearances by Kevin James is Hitch with Will Smith. He plays the overweight guy that Will Smith tries to help in the beginning. But this movie was directed by Steve Carr, who also directed Dr. Dolittle 2, Next Friday, and Daddy Daycare. So you can kind of get where the feel of this movie is going to go. I mean, I believe it is rated PG. I don't think it was rated PG-13. I could be wrong, but the overall feel of the movie is that there's not a lot of violence going on, and most of it is not laugh out loud funny. But I think Kevin James has a presence very much similar to, not on par with, but similar to John Candy or Chris Farley, where, granted, his appearance, and I'm not trying to say this like fat people are funny, but you sympathize with it and you roll with it, and especially when someone who in that situation makes light of it. At many points, you know, a lot of the jokes ongoing in this that you would see in the trailer, so I'm not ruining anything, but it's, imagine like a Die Hard movie, but with somebody with the overall proportions of Kevin James. So you have like an overweight guy doing rolls and belly slides and stuff and crawling through air ducts. So I think this movie does parody a lot, not directly like, but it does play up on the action hero movie, but what if it was your normal everyday guy? I don't see Paul Blart as the character as really in-depth. I mean, a lot of movies you should get into the character itself and really feel for them, and I did, but I always view Kevin James' characters as just Kevin James, so if you don't like Kevin James, you probably won't like the film. If you do like him, and liked King of Queens, and I Now Pronounce You, Chuck and Larry, and anything else he's done, then I think you're gonna appreciate it. It was written by Kevin James as well as Nick Berry. Nick Berry hasn't written much. Same with Kevin James, besides some episodes of King of Queens. But I think overall, like, the writing in this was very well. If I would have to say some negative things about the film, just to warn people, you're going to have to turn off your brain a little bit. You're definitely, I mean, it's an unbelievable story as far as, like, this guy being able to do some of the things he does. A lot of the points in the film, you're like, did that just happen? I mean, it's a comedy. Go with it. You'll enjoy it as long as you don't think about it too much. Other things I wanted to mention is a performance by Keira O'Donnell. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. You might have remembered him from in The Breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston. He plays her one date. I believe the name of the guy was Paul. He's the guy that comes over to meet her, and while she's getting ready, he hits it off with Vince Vaughn and plays him in football. So it was good to see his face again. He plays the bad guy in this. Pretty good job, though, overall. I think he also is in the upcoming Amusement film that either it came out this year or it's coming out. It's a horror film. Other than that, I did notice it's not a Happy Madison production, but Adam Sandler is one of the producers on this film. So it is good to see, as usual, these groups of people in Hollywood working together. It kind of gives you a little bit of hope, especially like someone like myself who work with a lot of people, you know, in a tight group and like to film stuff and make stuff that, you know, one day, probably not, but one day with a lot of hope, you know, you get in a group and you stay with it. And I mean, you guys probably have noticed, like Rob Schneider being one of them with Adam Sandler, and just the whole slew of them, the same people that appear in all of these films. I know, I can't think of the actor's name, but he does appear in a lot of Adam Sandler films, makes an appearance as one of the guards that works alongside of Paul Blart. And the one heavy-set guy from Me, Myself, and Irene and Old School, the one who gets stuck in with the cinder block in the ground, he makes an appearance in this too. That's kind of funny. So overall, let's talk about pacing-wise. I think it doesn't feel long at all. You know, I'm always big on pacing. This movie, you know, went by. I didn't look at my watch once. Acting-wise, Kevin James, spot on, funny, great. All the supporting characters, they were funny. They served their purpose. Plot development moved along pretty quickly. Got to know the character in the beginning and then got into the plot. Let's see. Other than that, the look of the film, you don't really look at comedies too much. Nothing unique there. Nothing really unique with camera work. And in general, just overall, you know, a decent movie. Not like an A+ movie, but definitely something I would check out. Over the Unborn and Marley and Me. Laughed more at this than those films. So definitely, my overall review for this would be 3.5 burgers. The only reason I don't give it any higher is that, yeah, you do have to turn your brain off. And if you're not in the mood for Kevin James, you're not going to like this. But overall, I think give it a shot. If not seeing it in theaters, definitely see it on DVD. And I hope to see more from Kevin James. And I hope to see him write some more, because I think he could definitely come up with some comedy using physical comedy. Just like on the same par with how John Candy didn't do it a lot, but Chris Farley definitely did. Physical comedy, I think, is definitely something that is left out of a lot. And I don't want to see non-stop slapstick comedy, but I mean actually using your body to get across some humor every now and then. It's a good thing. And I think Kevin James lives up to that. So remember, keep them coming.
And remember, I'll be watching.